Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel.
We're the Dawnties.
My name is Rochelle.
I'm your favorite Dawna, and guess what, y'all? It's my birthday.
So actually today is not her birthday. It is on Friday the 19th, but because of what I had planned, I had to split this up into two videos. So this is going to be part one of Donna's birthday bash.
So it's my birthday all month, y'all.
No, I like that one. Y'all like that one too.
But in today's video, I'm actually going to share with you what I baked for your favorite Dawna.
For me!
Now, this is something that I have done before, and whenever I posted a picture on Instagram, a lot of people wanted to know, like, how do you do it? And whenever I've shown, like, my creations in the past, which, you know, I've shown on this channel little snippets, a lot of people were interested in how and wanted more of a tutorial type of thing. So I recorded my entire process, and I want to share that with you guys. And she has no idea what I made at all. So I recreated something that I've done before, and I'm going to show you the footage of that while I go grab them from the fridge and surprise her with her birthday celebration treats.
Yay me! It's my birthday!
And also just keep in mind, we're not a food channel. I'm not a professional. This is just
That's not true.
Fun.
The definition of a professional is someone that gets paid for it. You have been paid for your cake decorating.
multiple times, yeah.
So, you're a professional.
I'm self-taught. YouTube taught me many, many years ago, and I just gotta have fun and do what I want to do. So, take a look at what I did for this one.
For me.
Many hours. Many hours. Blood, sweat, and tears. Because she loved me, y'all.
Okay, first things first is we need to make a cake. This can be any flavor, any recipe, in any shape. We just need a cake to start. And there we have it. I will be making a chocolate cake only because chocolate is the easiest for me to work with when making cake pops. But this can be any flavor. I've also done vanilla and red velvet. But again, chocolate is my favorite to work with because it holds its shape better. And since we are turning these into cake pops, I wanted to go with the one that I feel like is easiest to work with doing cake pops. So let's get this cake baked. There is now our cake fresh from the oven. We are going to let this cool completely before we go any further. Okay, so now that we have the cake made, it is time to destroy it. If you have kids, this is where they love to help out because we're gonna make this a pile of crumbs. Now, with kids, I do get my hands in there and we grind it up and make a whole bunch of crumbs. Since I'm doing this on my own, I actually have a bowl and a food processor that I will be using to turn this beautiful cake into crumbs for our cake pops. It doesn't matter what shape you make your cake, it's going to be crumbled up anyway. So this is also really good to make cake pops if you have leftover cake or cake scraps. You can make a few cake pops, but today we're gonna make a whole cake full of cake pops. And if I size them right, I can probably get about 40 out of an entire cake, a normal size cake. But I think I'm gonna make them a little bit larger because they're gonna be upside down cake pops. Okay, so now that you have your cake crumbled, we are going to use a small bowl here just to make some ganache. Now, ganache, if you don't know, is equal parts heavy whipping cream, which is right there, and chocolate. I will be using the Wilton chocolate melts, candy melts. I do have this in a light cocoa. I have many other flavors and many other colors, but since this is a chocolate cake, we're gonna go for the brown chocolate candy melts. Now to turn this into ganache, I put chocolates and the whipping cream in here, and I'm gonna pop this in the microwave for about 30 seconds and stir it. And then we're gonna do another 30 seconds and stir it again. You don't want to overheat this, but you wanna stir it to see if all the chocolate is melted. And all we're looking for is a smooth chocolate liquid. All right, so after the first 30 seconds, you wanna stir it really well to get some of those chocolate pieces melted. As you can see, it's pretty melted already. And we want this to look like a river of chocolate liquid. So I'm gonna stir this for a little bit, see if another 30 seconds is needed, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so after stirring this for some time, I am actually going to add some more chocolate melts because it's a little too liquidy right now. It's almost like a water faucet, and we do want this to be a little bit thicker than lifting it up and it just dribbling off. We want it to kind of be smooth and flowing off the spoon rather than dripping off. So always keep your chocolates and your whipping cream handy in case you need to thin it or thicken it. All right, so I'm gonna add a few more chocolates and then put this in the microwave for another 30 seconds. Okay, so after some stirring, this actually is a nice thicker consistency. It is flowing off the spoon rather than dripping. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but it is a little bit thicker than water. And there are a few more lumps, so I'm gonna keep stirring until it's completely smooth. Okay, this actually looks pretty smooth. So now what we're going to do is put this with the crumbs and make a Play-Doh consistency. Now this is, again, if you have kids where they love to help because you can get your hands in there and mix it all up together. But again, since it's just me, I will be using a spoon and doing it the less messy way. Now you don't want to pour all of this into your crumb bowl. You want to pour a little bit at a time because you don't want the moisture to be too much in this cake. So if you put too much liquid inside, I don't have any other cake to thicken the batter up. So we definitely want to add less and add as we go. So what I'm doing is pouring in a little bit at a time, and where we had a big bowl of tons of loose crumbs, it is now thickening up and building up into piles. So you basically don't want any loose crumbs in this bowl. It's going to look a lot like mud, which is what you're going for, that kind of a darkish, thick, mud-like visual here. So I think it is pretty well mixed, and it will get more mixed as I go through and make cake pop balls. But what you are looking for is if you can pick up some of these crumbs, squeeze it, and it'll hold its shape. So as you can see there, it is holding its shape. It's a pretty rough ball. Squeeze it together, and it's holding the shape of my fingers as I crunched it in my hand. That is the consistency you're going for. You want this Play-Doh consistency where you can basically bend it and it will keep its shape whenever you move it around. That's what we want. That's what we mean by no loose crumbs. So I think this is ready to make some cake pop balls. All right, so I have this cookie sheet that I have just lined with some wax paper, and this is what I'm gonna put the balls on as I make them. So I can line them up, see how many I have, and put them in the fridge easily to chill. So I eyeball this. You can use a spoon if you prefer, but you basically just want to take a handful of your crumb mixture, squeeze it to get all the air out from in between it, and then just roll it into a ball. You can make these as big or as little as you want, but because of the decoration I'm going to be going for, this is a little too small. This would be a normal cake pop ball size. It just kind of cradles right in your hand, but because of the decoration I'm going to be going for, I'm going to make these a little bit bigger. And because I'm not putting the stick on the bottom and standing them upright, they can be a little bit heavier and bigger because they will be on the ground with the stick coming out the top. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit more of my mixture, squeeze it together, make sure it's all coming together as one, and then I'm gonna roll this into a ball and see if I like that size. Okay, so as you can see, this is much bigger, and this is actually a great foundation for the decoration I have in mind. So I'm just gonna place this on the sheet, and I'm gonna do this to the rest of the batter. Now that all of the crumb batter is gone, you can see that because I went for the larger size for these cake pops, I was able to make 26 regular sizes, and then what was left over was this little bitty one, which is actually a little bit smaller than my normal size. So you can get a lot of cake pops out of one cake recipe. So now that these are all rolled, I'm gonna put them in the fridge probably for an hour or so, just to make sure that they are going to hold their shape whenever we dip them in chocolate later. But what you're looking for is you can press on it and it won't bend out of shape. So you can leave it in the fridge for 30 minutes, a few hours, or even overnight if you prefer. And that's it for right now. Okay, so now that the cake pops have set, they are pretty firm. I can press down on them and they're not bending out of shape, which is what we want. I'm gonna set these over to the side and we're gonna start melting some chocolate. Okay, so what I have in front of me is this Wilton melting pot. It works like a fondue pot. So this will heat up whatever is inside, and this is silicone, so it's a lot easier to clean. If you don't have one of these, you can use a tall cup, which is what I have used in the past, in the microwave to heat up the chocolate. But this way will keep it warm while I'm working, so I don't have to constantly heat up my chocolate in a cup. So I have that. I'm gonna be using some white Wilton chocolate candy melts to coat the cake pops, because honestly, this doesn't matter because you're not going to see it. I'm gonna cover the entire cake pop with sprinkles. So, but I just like to use white. I don't know, it's just my preferred look. And then I'm gonna be using some coconut oil. So this is going to help thin out your chocolate. If you just melt chocolate, it's going to be really thick and the weight of that chocolate is going to pull on the cake pop and take it off the stick. So this will actually thin it so you can actually dip and take off any excess chocolate from the actual cake pop without the weight of it pulling it off of the stick. So I always use coconut oil when I am doing the dipping. So let's start melting. Okay, so as you can see, this is melting pretty well. There's still a lot of chocolate that needs to be melted, but before I put in my coconut oil, this is where I like to dip the cake pop sticks, because you want that chocolate to be thicker so it'll harden and actually be secure. So before putting in any coconut oil to thin this out for the actual cake pop dipping, I'm actually going to, while it's still melting, going to take some of my lollipop sticks. These are also by Wilton. And I'm going to dip the end into the melted chocolate. Just a little bit like that. And then I'm going to stick it into the actual cake pop. Now, because these were sitting like this, there's actually a flat bottom already. So I'm just going to stick it right in through the top. Now you don't want to go all the way through, but you want it to go through about 3/4 of the actual cake pop so nothing pops out on the end. So while those chocolates are still melting and they're actually thick, I'm going to do this to the rest of the cake pops. Okay, so now that all of these have been stuck with the sticks dipped in chocolate, I'm gonna pop this back in the fridge only because it is currently 18 degrees outside, and so the heater is a little bit warmer. It's making it a little bit warmer in here today, and I want these cake pops to stay firm, so I'm gonna pop these back in the fridge while we wait for the rest of the chocolate to melt. Okay, so it looks like our chocolate has melted, and this is actually, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but it is pretty thick. I have not added any coconut oil to it. This is the consistency you're looking for with the ganache. So you want it to just flow off of the spoon, just like that. But this is a little too thick to dip cake pops in because they are a little bit fragile. So now I'm just going to add a spoonful of coconut oil into the chocolate. And this, as this melts, this will thin out the chocolate. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more in there. This is pretty hardened, but I'm going to let that come together and then we'll see if it's thin enough to start dipping our cake pops. Okay, so I'm actually happy with this consistency. It is a little bit, still a little bit thick, but if it starts to drag down my cake pops, then I can just add a little bit more coconut oil to thin it out a little bit more. So now is the time we start dipping. So I have my cake pops here. Now, one thing I'm going to do is actually cover these in sprinkles. So I have just red sanding sugar sprinkles, nothing too special, it's just regular sanding sugar. But I do have them in red because the actual base of this cake pop is going to be red. So obviously, sprinkles won't stick on a dry surface. So as I dip them, I'm going to be covering them with these sugar sprinkles and then placing them back on the sheet to dry. because what I am doing is going to take 2 layers of decorating to make this cake pop come to life. So let's get started. All right, so let me just show you real quick what I'm doing. You might see the shaking. What I'm doing is I'm using the spoon I have to kind of coat the entire cake pop ball up to the seal on the stick. And then once I dip it, I'm getting rid of all of this excess chocolate that's just dripping off of it. So I am lightly shaking it up and down to get that excess chocolate off. And then once all of that is off, I just kind of move it around. I may tap my finger if there's clumps of chocolate. So you don't want to bang this against the side of whatever you're using for your melted chocolate dipping, just because it can put too much pressure on the actual cake pop and have it slide off. So once it's pretty smooth and pretty evenly layered across the entire cake pop ball, then I'm just going to coat it in all of this red standing sugar goodness. Now the bottom doesn't matter as much because, like I said, these will be sitting on the actual plate rather than your typical cake pop ball where it would be like this. Now if that was the case, I would care more about the bottom, but the bottom is actually going to be just there to support the actual cake pop ball, so I don't need to worry about coating that. So once it is completely covered the way I see fit, whenever it's on the plate, it's going to be like this. So that is what I'm looking for. So I have just the mini cake pop ball left. I think I'm just gonna dip this in white chocolate and not sprinkle it because it's so little. This is just gonna be a little bite-sized one, maybe a sample one for me later. But I'm gonna do this last one and then I'm gonna show you what to do next. Okay, so here are all of the cake pop balls. It took about 35 minutes once the chocolate was melted to actually dip and decorate these cake pops. Now I could have used red chocolate melts, candy melts from Wilton or from any other company, but I wanted the sparkle, which is why I decided to coat it in the sanding sugar rather than just using red chocolate. But that is an option too. If you just want to do red chocolate, you can. So now I'm going to put these in the fridge because there's going to be a part 2 of this decorating, and I need to refill my sanding sugar bottle because it's almost empty again. And I'm going to clean up and then we'll come back and do the finishing touches. Okay, so it looks like the cake pops are ready to go for round 2 of decorating. So for this, I did clean this out and I will be using this again to heat up some green candy melts from Wilton. So I'm also going to be using a piping bag for this. If you don't have a piping bag, I have also used like a Ziploc baggie to put the chocolate in and then just snipping off a small tip so you'll have a very fine stream of the chocolate. So I'm gonna get this melted and then we'll get started decorating. Okay, so I have our chocolate melted here and it's pretty well melted. Like I said earlier, you can use a bowl and heat this up in the microwave if you want. Just be careful because it will be hot, especially if you don't have an actual piping bag. This is a little bit thicker than your standard Ziploc baggie, but again, that will work. Just be very careful because it will be hot. So I am going to fill this bag up with some chocolate, cut off the tip, and start decorating. Okay, so I did cut the tip. I only put a little bit of chocolate in here because I'm not sure how much I'm actually gonna need, but I will probably need to melt some more, so I'm keeping these close by. But yeah, let's just go for the first one here so you can see how I'm doing this. The chocolate out of the way. Okay, So to make this design, I'm basically going to choose a side that's going to be the front, and most of these it won't really matter. And the first thing I'm going to do is pipe a small circle, and I am doing this from memory, so it may not be perfect, but I'm going to 2 circles there, and then like a triangle type shape down here, kind of thing. So I'm doing that first because that's going to be basically my base, and then I'm going to fill in as much as I want all around it, and you'll see what it is at the end. Okay, so I basically just went around and made this dripping design, so it'll look like the evil queen, the poison apple. So there we have it, and this is going to be they're all going to look very different depending on how quickly you work or how you want to make the drip designs, but that is what we're going for. So whenever it's sitting on the table, it will look at you like that. So this is just really fun, and just wanted to note I did not put any coconut oil in the chocolate this time because I wanted to control the drip. I didn't want it to be so liquidy it was going to start dripping on its own. So that is cake pop number 1. Now I got to do these to the rest of them. Okay, so if you can see there, I have actually done 5, and I may only do a couple more. I'm definitely not going to do all 26 and a quarter cake pop. Well, this one I did leave white, so like I said, this might be my taste test sample later. But I have not baked in a very long time, and my hand is already cramping up from holding the cake pop while I'm decorating. But just want to show you a few of them that I have here that I think look really, really good. So like I said, they are going to look different just based on the pattern, the design. It's really, you know, just that dripping poison on the apple is what we're going for. So really just those 3 circles for the eyes and the mouth or the nose. But I think my favorite one is the one I just did. So it's still a little bit wet. But I think this one looks the best. And yeah, so there we have it. Let's hope Dawna loves her villains-inspired cake pops. Okay, so I have decided what I'm going to do to the rest of them. I only got 6 done, and yeah, my thumb can't take it anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of the cake pops and just do this drizzle design, which I really like to do, especially for baby showers, theming, you know, the colors or whatever it is. And I tend to do this kind of mixed in with my designs just so they're not all the same, if that makes sense, but they all kind of match. So since we already have the green chocolate and the red for the poison apple, I'm just going to do some drizzles and see how I like that. Okay, this is definitely giving me Christmas vibes, but you know what? It'll eat the same. I think it'll be fine. So I ended up doing 8 of the poisoned apples, and then the rest of them I just decorated that in the same colors, but they look like Christmas, obviously. But hey, if you all want to do some cake pops for Christmas, there you go. There's a quick how-to. But I do like how the poisoned apples came out. I still think this one is my favorite. I just think the design and everything looks really good. And how the drips kind of came out look really good. Here's another one of my favorites. I think that looks really good too. So once these are all dry, these will be good to eat. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, so I actually did this for my niece a couple of years ago. She had a, what's it called, Descendants?
Oh yeah,
the
Descendants.
Villains.
Yeah.
So she had a whole themed party to that, and so I did Ursula cupcakes, I did poison apple cake pops, and it was just a lot of fun. And she is wasting no time.
It's been a long time since you made cake pops, y'all.
It has. Well, mainly because of COVID. And I make them for family events. And there's a lot here, you guys.
All for me.
Yeah, we're not going to eat all of these. You're going to have to take some of these to work.
Nope, they don't get done.
Okay, so that was her first part of her birthday bash. So come back in 2 days and she will be opening up all of her presents because she's spoiled for her birthday.
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Please don't sing the rest of it to yourself. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that little tutorial, I guess, or wanted to see how to actually make cake pops. They're just a lot of fun, and unfortunately, they ended up looking all Christmassy, the leftover ones. So, oh well, it is what it is. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in Friday's video.
My birthday.
Bye.
Bye.